And so what I want from you is this. I want idealism from the youth. I don't want pragmatism. I am in politics because I'm an idealist, because I think this country can become a great nation. And I have seen on two personal experiences, which is what convinced me to join politics. One was cricket, where I realized that Pakistan had no cricket structure. And despite not having a cricket structure, we managed to produce a great team because of the immense talent in the country, the vibrancy. And secondly, when I went to collect money for Shaukat Hanum Cancer Hospital, it was the way the common people helped me in building this hospital. The money, unfortunately, never came from the rich ruling elite, because they were too busy sending the money out to buy flats in London. The money came from the common people. It's when I went all over Pakistan, because I was desperate to collect the last $4 million to open the hospital in '94. And when I went from city to city with an open van with a big money box in the back, it was that convinced me to come into politics, because the response from the common people in the country who did not have that much, but their ability to sacrifice for the country, for a cause beyond themselves, their selflessness. It was that convinced me that the people in this, there's nothing wrong with the people. It is the elite that needs to be changed. And we saw what happened to General Musharraf's pragmatism. Because pragmatism without idealism becomes naked expediency. I had a good mind to tell him that the most pragmatic is a prostitute. If you don't have any values and no ethics, what's wrong with being a prostitute? And that's what actually happened to him. The compromises he committed, one after another, eventually led to the NRO. That was the final compromise he committed. There was no other compromise left. Because the compromises started with first, he said, well, we have to be, yes, everyone accepted that we should be part of the war on terror, because the US has suffered this great act of terrorism, and we should help them. Everyone, right across the spectrum, from right to left, everyone thought we should support the US. But how to support the US is where people began to differ. And that's where the expediency started coming in. He started giving in one after another. Everything eventually, by giving in, we got into a state where our own army started killing our own people, and our own people started killing our own army and our own people, which is what the result is today in Pakistan. And not only that, what we did in Afghanistan, had we been sensible, had there been a proper democratic government with a democratic leader who'd come up from amongst who had roots in the people, like Mahathir Mohamad or Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, we would never have been in a situation which we are now, and we would never have allowed the bloodshed in Afghanistan which has taken place now, and there doesn't seem to be any end to it. It's a war that there is no end to it. We don't know what's the end. We don't know why we are fighting. Neither the army knows what it's trying to achieve, neither do the people know what this war on terror is all about. And that's thanks to General Musharraf. And he was doing it not for the people of Pakistan. He was doing it for himself to stay in power. So when pragmatism means just to stay in power, and you keep compromising to stay in power, eventually you're left with no compromises. There's nothing left. After the NRO, there was no compromise for Musharraf to do. So idealism is what you must, and then make your idealism pragmatic. But your ideals, you must never, ever compromise on your ideals. Aristotle, 2,500 years ago, said that if there is injustice in society, every citizen will go into politics except two types. And I hope none of you are in those two types. One are the materialists, the selfish people, who only thinking about themselves. Why should I go into politics? Why should Imran Khan go into politics? He's got everything. I don't need to be in politics. I am having a very good life in Pakistan. And the other ones, the ones who are timid, the cowardly, scared. Altaf Hussain will get you bumped off. or this Zardari. So many people have said. Rabia keeps telling me that I should get a bulletproof vest now that I've taken on both the criminals, Zardari and Altaf, at the same time. So the scared, people who are scared. And remember, these people rely on you being scared. The more scared you are, the more easily they can rule you. They can feed you all sorts of nonsense. They can blatantly lie in front of you. They can break who is now the head of state, 3 written agreements he has reneged on. And still he sort of has this McLean's toothpaste smile and tells us, that breaking an agreement is not the same thing as the Quran and the Hadith. I mean, so shameless. And then you have, of course, Altaf Hussain daily giving us lectures sitting in London. We're all worried about those poor Muhajirs, poor Urdu-speaking people stuck in Karachi. He's really worried about them for 16 years sitting in Edgware Road. Really concerned about them, because whenever there is, when the summer heat is on there, poor people are deprived of electricity. When the rain comes, the Karachi is flooded. When there's a storm, the billboards fall and quite a few people die. When they go out, their mobiles get snatched. And no, Altaf is worried about them sitting in Edgware Road. Here he's got a 40-man secretariat worrying about the Muhajirs in Karachi, who poor people are sending him bucketfuls of money coming in to sustain his lifestyle, 3 properties here. But he relies on fear. He relies on people of Karachi being scared. And that's how he controls the whole of Karachi. People are petrified. One man sitting here, people are petrified. If 100,000 people went out demanding that they want good governance in Karachi and they do not want to be controlled by a fascist party which uses strong-arm tactics to extort money from them, blatantly kills people. On 12th May, everyone watched on national television people holding MQM flags and firing straight into crowds. 50 people dead, 200 injured. There should have been an uproar in the country. People should have been out in the streets. But it's fear. The god of fear, the false god of fear, rather. The idol of fear that these people rely on, so does Asif Zardari. No one dared, not one politician dared say anything against this man who has himself. I went on television, I said, you know, I was attacked by this People's Party guy. I said, look, these are not charges put by me on him. 3 governments, your own Farooq Lagari, People's Party president, has put this charge on you. Nawaz Sharif, who's your coalition partner, he's put this charge on you. And Musharraf, the enlightened moderate, he's put this charge on you. It's not me. 3 governments. In Switzerland, he's been convicted. And they are saying, no, you know, this guy, you know, you're just jealous of him. And then they are saying, you know, he's so brilliant. Look at the way he outfoxed Nawaz Sharif. No, well, it was, yes. Nawaz Sharif, well, anyway, at the moment, I'm not going to say anything against him because, for a start, he's the only one left. Everyone else I've criticized. And secondly, he's still standing for an independent justice system. So until he's there, I'm not going to say anything against Nawaz Sharif.